Na 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 Botman. The deal's finally done. Well, almost. Welcome back to the video on the channel, Newcastle fans. If you are new to Black and White Banter, make sure you drop down, give us a like, give us a subscribe. So if you like my opinion and you want to be notified the next time my face pops up again, you will get a notification the second we post a video. And that little thumbs up goes a long way as well. And get us on Facebook and Instagram. Post on there every single day. I've even had a couple of things go viral in the last week. Getting pretty good at that photo editing. So, the day has finally arrived. Well, almost, kind of. Botman tonight, after waiting 24 hours on our phones, checking Twitter, just waiting for the news to break that the medical was done and the contract was signed, it went strangely a little bit quiet. No one really knew what was going on. But the photos have been released tonight. Newcastle shirt in hand. He's not wearing the Batman costume, unfortunately, like we'd hoped, as I posted a photo of earlier today on social media. But he's there with his family, big beaming smile. The only strange thing with this one is that Newcastle have announced that there's still some formalities in the deal that need taken care of as the week progresses, but he has signed his contract. The fee's been agreed. So whether that's agent fees, because we know how greedy they can be, something at the end of legal, we don't really know. But the player has signed. He's a Newcastle player as we expected, and he's already posed for photos and shared everything on his social media as well. So happy days, eventually. So, my first thoughts, as I said in the last video, what a signing. I'm not going to sit here and claim I watch a lot of Lille or even the French leagues. It's boring as hell. But as a player and as a marquee statement signing, we are getting one of the hottest European defensive prospects in football. There's lots of teams been sniffing around him. He's really caught the eye across Europe and probably further. AC Milan obviously wanted him all the way as well. They dropped out of the race as far as it's been reported, and we swooped in and we finally got our man. Now, it's coming out that he's always wanted to join us, even in January. It's just the agreement with Lille was the sticking point. So, you know, there's been lots of reports that maybe he's twisted us against him and thought, hang on, mate, you might sound like a superhero, but do you really want to join Newcastle? Piss off if you don't. But it doesn't look that way. Maybe it has always been an issue with the French football sides, like them wanting more money and us refusing to give in. I don't know, but we've got our man and he's here. So it's a one to get excited about. Not only does this make us a better side defensively, I think this is that sort of statement that says to the rest of players that we go for, and big players who've been a bit, Newcastle, it's a bit early to join them in that project. Wow. They signed Brazilian Bruno in January. Now they've got Botman. Shit, maybe I do want a piece of that pie. So it's a really, really big statement signing that we mean business under these new owners, and we don't want to be staving off relegation anymore. We want to be going after that top 10 and who knows from there. But that's a different conversation for a different day. So I think that Eddie Howe's got a plan and he's stuck to it. He's wanted this man since January, which fills me with all the confidence in the world. He's been persistent in who he wants as part of his project and his new team. And he's building a wall at the back. And it's been a very long time as a Newcastle fan for me that I can say, we've had good defenders, but a good defence. Trippier, outstanding. Dan Burn, he's been brilliant since he came in, born and bred Geordie. Fabian Schär, classy on the ball and up back to the form that we saw under Benitez. He's now got Botman, hot young prospect in Europe. And Matt Targett hasn't put a foot wrong in his time with us. And you've got the backups of like our Lascelles, our captain. Nick Pope behind them, an England international, one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League. He's building a wall, and that's exciting for us because we can get that foundation and then go from there further up the pitch. So what can Botman offer? Who is he? What's he good at? What's he not so good at? So Botman is 6'4", came through the Ajax Academy. Lille picked him up for like 7.4 million, which has obviously turned into be a snip for them. And his main strength at 6'4" is his aerial ability. So he's averaged last season 3.4 aerial duels per game. And just to put that into context, Ruben Diaz, a little bit closer to home at Manchester City, the team we all love and we envy, only gets 2 successful aerial duels per game. So it's a pretty good stat. He's in the top 6 in that stat of players who've played 1,000 minutes or more in Europe. So he's certainly good with his head, and that comes from him having a good anticipation, reading that aerial duel early and getting up earlier. And that good perception and reading of the game is all over the pitch. That's one of his strong points again. His positional-wise, he reads the game a little bit faster than a lot of other centre-backs do, which helps him stand out and get in there early and keep things nice and tidy at the back. Very similar to his Dutch compatriot, Virgil van Dijk at Liverpool. They both aren't the fastest, which maybe falls under one of Botman's weaknesses. Or he's not that quick on the turn, can get found out a little bit in that. Smaller, quicker players, but he makes up for it in being able to read the game. And just to go along with that, his passing ability and his comfort in possession is outstanding. 85% of his passes have been successful last season for Lille. So we are talking about a guy, and this is what I think is really interesting. Eddie Howe is building something in Newcastle and wants to play it a certain way. That's why I believe, although he's good in the air, I think Botman was always his number one target because of what he can do with his feet. You've got to be good defensively, but he's also able to carry the ball out and hold possession. And that is something I honestly believe that Eddie Howe is trying to build. And I think that's the reason this guy went above maybe even Diego Carlos, who Villa got in the end. Botman was always number one. So passing it out, which is going to be a huge factor in him developing into this Newcastle team, that's another one of his strong points. His main weakness, as I mentioned, is his slight inability to have a quick turn of pace, and he can be outdone by smaller, quicker players. Now, whether that's going to prove a problem in the Premier League, the pace it's at, he's going to need time to adapt anyway. Who knows? But this is a player who is good in the air, very good with the ball at his feet, and he reads the game really, really well. And that's something that we maybe haven't had so much of in centre-backs in recent years. Someone who can read the game before other people do, see things before other people do, and make that decision early so that there's no problem even arises. We've had some very, very good centre-backs over the last decade. And I just don't know whether we've had that one who's maybe ahead of everyone else mentally, to be constantly looking, positioning himself accordingly, but also seeing things before they actually develop. That could be crucial in him being really, really just important in this team. But having said that, I honestly believe that Sven Botman is a future signing for Newcastle. I don't think it's instantly for now. He's only 22 years old. I think that Sven Botman will be expected once he settles in to play with Fabian Schär. And I know that's going to sound controversial, but I do not see Eddie Howe wanting to play two left-footed centre-backs. If he wants to play it out from the back and have this passing style, I think you need your centre-backs to a degree to be on their more comfortable side. And Dan Burn and Botman are both left-footed centre-backs. I think Burn was signed in January. Obviously, the Botman deal fell through. He's been fantastic since he's come in, and they are going to keep healthy competition for each other. But Fabian Schär, right-footed on the other side, is also a ball-playing centre-back. And I think Eddie Howe wants two very, very comfortable, solid ball-playing centre-backs. And to be a ball-playing centre-back, you have to a degree, be playing on your more comfortable side. That's not a written rule. And again, I've done lots of reading on this and research into centre-back partnerships. Two right-footed centre-backs is very common in the Premier League and in football, because left-footed centre-backs are harder to find. But every team in the modern game now wants a left-footed centre-back to be able to play that ball out and progress the ball in further up the field. Because a right-footed centre-back on the left-hand side is never going to be able to play those passes into his wing-backs in front of them. It's going to slow things down a little bit. So I think it's coming down to Fabian Schär. He signed his new contract. I think Eddie Howe sees him as a crucial member of his team. And I think from there, he wants either Burn or Botman to start with him. I think Burn will start the season because he knows the Premier League. Botman will be settled in, and then them two will fight for places with each other. Might even be as early as pre-season. Again, this is all me speculating, but it just doesn't make sense in my head how Eddie Howe wants to progress us as a football team, how we play, to have two left-footed centre-backs. But hey, that is going to be amazing competition if Burn and Botman are going for the same place. This exciting prospect who we've somehow managed to get to Newcastle United. That's only going to be good for us as a side. So, Newcastle fans, I still need pinching. I still physically need pinching when we clinch these sorts of signings. So please get in the comments. Let me know what you think of Botman, what you think he's going to offer, whether you think he's going to go straight into the team, who else you think we're going to sign, and just what your thoughts on this transfer window so far. Because I still have to take a step back and realise where we were a year ago. This time last year, we didn't even know what it was even the transfer window. Could have been any time of year because we weren't linked with anyone and we weren't signing anyone. It was loan signings and pretty much that was all we were linked with. And this is incredible to think where this ambition is leading us to. And I don't know who's going to be through the door next, but it's exciting. And I'm just here for the ride. And I think we all just need to be here for the ride. So, yes, Botman is in. Let me know your thoughts. And obviously, Newcastle fans, get down, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and get us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as well. I want to know what you think. And I think I'm going to go and crack open a beer to celebrate our new Cape Crusader looking after the streets of Newcastle. Botman. I'll see you on the next one, Newcastle fans. Away the lads.